Okay, so this is still on the set of videos for the Type 2 of Assessment 1 on Basic Algebra and Algebraic Manipulation. So we are now in number 6. So in number 6, the goal is to factorize different expressions. Okay, so since this is already in Type 2, expect that the expressions are more complex. So let's start with letter A. So in letter A, we were supposed to factor 8a times b plus 1 and then minus 32a times b plus 1. Now note this is on factoring, so don't try to distribute, okay, the 8a and the 32a to b plus 1. But rather, you look for any common factors for each group. When I say group, this is one group and this is another group. Okay, so looking at the at each group, I could see an 8 and a 32. They are related because 8 is a factor of 32. So meaning a common factor is an 8. At the same time, A is common to the first group. We have A here and I see an A here. So I can factor out that A. Now you have b plus 1 and b plus 1. That's also a common factor. So that's 8. That's b times b plus 1. Okay. So if we factor out 8a times b plus 1, what will happen to the remaining expression? Okay, so the remaining group will be, so 8a times b plus 1 divided by itself is 1 because you're factoring it out. And then the second group, that's negative 32 or minus 32 divided by 8, that's 4, so minus 4. A is factored out and b plus 1 is also factored out. So you only have 1 minus 4. So you have 8a times b plus 1 times negative 3 or negative 24a times b plus 1. That is by multiplying negative 3 to 8. Okay, so next is negative 9y times x minus 4 minus 18y times x minus 4. Again, we could see that a common factor is 9 because 9 and 18 are related. Like 18 is 9 times 2, so we can factor out negative 9. And then we could also factor out the y, and we could also factor out the x minus 4. So in doing that, so let's just make that clear, negative 9y times x minus 4. Because if we do that, what will happen to the first? So we will have we have 1, change that, 1 for negative 9y times x minus 4 and then plus 2. So this in simplest form will be, or the next form is negative 9y times x minus 4 times 3, or simply negative 27y, that's 3 times 9y, or negative 9y, so then that's x minus 4. So that is the simplest form. So again, it just so happened that you have this number. In other cases, you'll have this as an expression. But since we have so many common factors, we only have 1 and 2 left for each group. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So just to show you a quick example on a different problem. So if I have negative, say, x times y plus 2 and then plus y times y plus 2, if you look at the expression, the common factor is y plus 2 because you have y plus 2 in the first and y plus 2 in the second. So if you factor that out, so y plus 2, factor out y plus 2, then that means, so this is out, so minus x, then this is out, so you have plus y. So this will be the factored form. And you see the difference with the first two given expressions. We had like numbers as the resulting group after factoring out. But in some cases, you could see that you could have variables such as x and y. Okay, so let's proceed to letter C. So let's copy that first. So letter C is 8hv minus 9ku minus 12kv plus 6hu. Okay, so the thing about factoring is that if you're given any expression, the first thing that you have to check is there any common factor for all the given expressions? Like independently, you have 8hv, 9ku, 12kv, and 6hu. So you could see that some expressions contain h, but not all. So h is not a common factor for all. You could see that some expressions contain v, but not all. So v is not a common factor for all, even k. Now, if you look at the expression, you have 4 terms, and common to 4 terms is you have to group some expressions, like pair them up, and then come up with an expression wherein you can factor out, say, a variable. Okay, so just to show that, suppose we group 8hv, okay, since the second has k and u, I will select this instead. Okay, so minus 12kv, so I'll group that to 8hv. And then plus, the second group is negative 9ku, and then plus 6hu. So note how I place the plus sign when I group them, and how I carried the minus sign or the negative sign to 9 and the positive or plus sign to 6hu. So after you have grouped the expressions, what you can do is to find a common factor for each group. Like in this case, 8 and 12 has a common factor of 4. So I can factor out 4. At the same time, a common variable is v. So I'll factor out v. So if I do that, this expression will become 2h, and then minus this on the other hand will become 3k. And then I'll go to the second group. I see that I can factor out 3 from 6 and 9, so that's 3. And then I also have u and u for each term, so I can factor out u. And then this will become negative 3k plus 2h. Now, once you factored out some expressions, you try to anticipate if you have come up with common factors for each group. So if you look at this, although this is similar to this, you can actually arrange. So 4v times 2h minus 3k plus 3u. So I arrange this to 2h minus 3k. And it will become obvious that the common factor is 2h minus 3k. Okay, so you can factor that out. So 2h minus 3k. And then if I do that, so if I factor that out, so I have 4v left, and then plus, as you factor this out, plus 3u. So this is the factored form of the expression. Okay, so let's just have a quick look on how we factor the letter C. You have 4 terms. We group them into 2 groups. We look for any common factor for each group. And then after that, the resulting will have some common factors as well. In this case, you have 2h minus 3k. So you factor that out, and then you will come up with the final answer. Okay, let's go to the next one, letter D. In letter D, you were given 6xy and then times x minus 5 and then minus 12y times 5 minus x. So if we look at the expressions, I see an x minus 5 and a 5 minus x. So they are somehow related, okay, except that the other one is the exact opposite of the x minus 5. So before you factor out anything, so you can actually rewrite, okay, this into an x minus 5 by factoring out negative 1. But if you factor out negative 1, that will have an effect on the minus 12y. So negative 1 times negative 12y, so that makes this a positive 12y or plus 12y. Then the 5 minus x becomes x minus 5. Now, if you look at this, there's a common factor now, x minus 5. So you can factor out x minus 5. Then if I factor that out, you have 6xy on the first. And then if you factor this out, you have plus 12y on the second. Now do not stop until you have factored out everything. Because if you take a look at this, 6 and 12, common factor is 6, or the highest common factor is 6. At the same time, you have the y. So you have x minus 5, you factor out the 6, you factor out the y, and then you have, so this will be x plus 2. Then let's just rewrite the factored form into x minus 5, or rather we have 6y and then x minus 5 and then x plus 2. So this is the factored form. Okay, so let's take a look at the whole picture of how we factor the different expressions. So note each given expression is like having its own type. So you will know how to approach them next time. Okay. Oh, by the way, so just to give you an alternative way of factoring letter A and B, because I'm not sure if my first method will be, clear to everyone. So just to give you an alternative way, so looking at the expression, the obvious common factor is b plus 1. So you could focus only on the b plus 1 as the common factor. Then if you do that, if you factor that out, the first will have 8a and the second will have 32a. So as you can see, 8a minus 32a will simply become, that's 8 minus 32 is the same as, what's that? So 24, so negative 24a, and then b plus 1. And that is the same answer that we obtained earlier. So negative 24a times b plus 1. So a little faster. Okay, in letter B, you have, so if you look at letter B, so this is B here. Okay, so the common factor is x minus 4. So what we can do is we factor out the x minus 4. So x minus 4. Then if I do that, the first group will have negative 9y. And then the second will have minus 18y. Okay? So x minus 4. And then negative 9y minus 18y is negative 27y. Then just simply arrange, so negative 27y, and then x minus 4. So you get the same factored form. Okay, so that's it.